And good morning, everyone. Here we go, another edition of Sports Medicine Weekly on this Saturday morning. So happy you're with us. I'm Steve Cashel, Chicago Bulls radio host, joined this week with Dr. Chuck Bush-Joseph. He is the orthopedic surgeon, sports medicine specialist with Midwest Orthopedics at Rush, filling in this week for one of his partners, Dr. Brian Cole, my usual co-host. Dr. Chuck, thanks so much for filling in. Appreciate it.
Steve, it's always a pleasure here on a Saturday morning.
Great. Well, we got a lot to do. We'll finish it off with our Ask the Doctor segment, always popular. We'll tell you can get involved. But we're going to start right now with a gentleman that I've gotten to know quite well ever since probably August, September, because our sons play on the same hockey team. And I have to give them a little plug because they, not long ago, won the state championship. They're 14U. They play for Bantam AA for the Chicago Hawks. And my son, Corey, and Dr. Bill Hadesman is going to be our next guest here, and Dr. Hadesman's son, Alexander. They were victorious, and now they're going on to South Bend, Indiana, coming up next week. This coming week for the Nationals. They got an automatic entry, so what a season it's been. Hasn't it, Dr. Bill?
It's been exciting. It really has. It's been quite a ride.
And Dr. Hadesman, go ahead.
No, just particularly at such a highly competitive level. It's been fun.
It has, and he is an orthopedic surgeon. You go back with Dr. Bill as well, Chuck, right?
Dr. Bill and I go back almost over 30 years. Actually,
Really?
We both went to Michigan together.
He's from the Hadesman Orthopedics Clinic in Elmhurst. Thoughts on how high school athletes were treated for injuries now and in the past. And, Doc, I want to get into some of this subject as well. Are we seeing an increased incidence in youth sports-related injuries?
Yeah, yes. Over the past several decades, you've seen there's been a dramatic rise in sports-related injuries, and part of it's been fueled by the significant increase in youth sports participation. But another major component is the significant increase in overuse type of injuries, and I'm sure Dr. Bush-Joseph sees all the time. And these are young athletes who are focused more on intense and repetitive, specialized training. It's localized to one sport, and it's year-round. And that has definitely contributed to the numbers.
You know, Dr. Bill, let me ask you this then. When did your son Alexander cone down? Obviously, he's a very accomplished hockey player, and like Corey Cashel, they're really playing at a high level. And Steve and I have had this discussion off and on over the years on this show.
Sure.
When did Corey give to you that hockey was his game as opposed to other things? Or I'm sorry, that Alexander, Corey, in your case, Steve, would be interested in the same.
Right. Go ahead, Bill.
When he was younger, he did participate in sports like soccer. We did get involved in Little League, and one of the funny stories. He was playing hockey at the time. In his first year in Little League, he's playing third base, and after the third inning, he comes back to the bench, and there's tears in his eye. And his mother says to Alexander, "Alexander, why are you upset? Why are you crying?" He goes, "I've been out here for 3 innings, and not once has any of the players passed me the ball." I think that I think he kind of honed in on hockey because soccer was not there wasn't a lot of goal scoring. It was a more team-oriented sport, even at baseball at the Little League level. Although, of course, that changes with time. But we did encourage him to participate in different sports because, as you know, it does help with eye-hand coordination. I think it makes him a better hockey player by playing other sports. But he settled on hockey because he loves the game.
I go the same way. My son Corey, who plays with Alexander on the Bantam AA Chicago Hawks team, that's going to Nationals. My son used to play baseball, basketball, football, and hockey, and he's reduced it now to just hockey and baseball. He recently made the Napeville Central freshman team, actually playing with the sophomores now, which is great, as a pitcher and first baseman. but it's reduced to 2. But you still, Dr. Chuck, as we talked about, if you can keep in the multiple sports for as long as you can, you really like that, don't you?
You know, I do, Steve, and I think that if at age 14, 15, by that point, kids are well honed in on what they want to do. And so if you get them close to that high school age where they're still enjoying other things, even to a degree, even if it just takes them away from their given sport. And I'm sure Corey, he's happy. He can't wait to get back on the ice.
Yes.
And probably that's telling you then he's ready to go and you're ready to let him to specialize. I got a question of both of you guys. And
Yeah.
Dr. Bill, obviously having played both high school and even a bit of collegiate hockey, how do you recognize with your son, when are you going to know when an Alexander has hit his peak? And that's a hard thing as a parent.
Yeah.
You know, we all think that our kids are, have, high level ability, whether it be D1 or even God willing professional. But that's that hard point as a parent. And I'd be interested when both of you guys think, when do you say, maybe this is as high as he's going to get?
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Bill.
Well, players are individuals, are kids. Kids mature at different rates, at different levels, and I do think that skill sets are the same way. Some are late inning ball players, so to speak. They come on. Some are naturally talented. Some work hard. It's a good question. The question is, when does he plateau? He's not really playing the game to become a professional athlete. He's playing the game because he loves the game. He loves the competition. He loves the camaraderie. So hopefully that'll never plateau. It all depends on your goals. Are your goals to become the United States Olympic hockey player, play at the collegiate level, play in the National Hockey League, or are your goals to have fun, get better, be competitive, meet a lot of good people, and get a good workout?
Bill, I think I want all our listeners here, that's the right answer. Because the right answer is, maybe you may peak out at your competitive point at some point. And for me, my older brother skated and played hockey. My dad gave up on it by the time I came around. But I played basketball well into my 50s, and not because I was quick or great or had any great aspirations. It was a wonderful workout. It was social. I enjoyed it. I loved it. And I played until my body wouldn't let me play anymore. And hopefully Alexander and Corey get that same thrill. Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I see my son continue to improve. He's faster every year, and he's loving it more, and he's watching more hockey. So I remember when he started, he was the worst player on his team back in mites or whatever it was, and now to see him grow to, out of house to travel, and now at a AA level and maybe a AAA level in a year or two if he can, and he wants to keep going. So I'm just going to ride it and say, hey, you know what? He loves it, and I'm never going to say you have to do something, but and I hope he keeps baseball in there too, because I think it's important.
I will tell you, and I think Bill would probably say the same, the kids know. The kids know at one point when they say, all right, I may be at my maximum competitive level. Now I'm going to eventually transition to my recreational level, where I'll get to play hockey recreationally and have fun for the next 10, 15, 20, God willing, 30 years. So I'm sure for you, Bill, you're telling Alexander, you ride that horse as long as it'll run. Exactly,
and I think both you guys make really good points, and I think that's the right attitude too. They're young adults, and they're going to make their own decision anyways. But it's fun that they're motivated, they're competitive, and I want them to strive to be the best, and encourage them to do so.
Again, we're visiting with Dr. Bill Hadesman, orthopedic surgeon from Hadesman Orthopedics in Elmhurst. Steve Cashel with Dr. Chuck Bush-Joseph filling in this week for Dr. Brian Cole. We're talking about our sons because Dr. Hadesman and my son play together AA hockey. And I want to get back to a question here for both doctors here, Dr. Hadesman and Dr. Chuck Bush-Joseph. What steps could be taken, guys, to help prevent or decrease the risk of youth sports injuries? Dr. Bill, you go first.
Well, according to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, more than half of sports injuries in children are preventable, and that's starting with proper training, conditioning, and equipment. The American Academy of Pediatrics actually has tips for parents that they offer to help prevent, decrease the risk of sports-related injuries. Taking time off, giving the body time to rest. They recommend maybe a day a week, a month a year. Using the right gear, appropriate, proper fitting and protective equipment like pads, helmets, mouthpieces, face and neck guards, of course, protective cups and eyewear. Sport-specific training and regular conditioning are essential. And the regular conditioning should start not during the season, but obviously well before the season. Using proper techniques for the position that a player plays can be very helpful.
Bill, I want to cut you in on that 2 point. And I think that's something that we've emphasized in this show, and I do want our parents to think about. I really can't speak enough about the quality of coaching and how important that is. And I think as parents, we do have to evaluate who's going to be instructing my child, and I got to have confidence in them, because I will tell you, there's good coaching and bad coaching has good results and bad results. And I think that we need to make sure that we're, as parents, evaluating those who are instructing our athletes, especially if especially if they're getting to a higher level like this, where they're playing travel and higher leagues of hockey. That's so important, I think. And really, that's sometimes the difference between frustration by our young athletes and those who are excited and want to continue to play.
Absolutely. We're fortunate with the Chicago Hawks AA hockey team that we have. Tom Whalen. We've got three other coaches that are just remarkable. One played at Notre Dame, Tyson Frazier, and another one's a former Blackhawk, Mikhail Yakubov, and Kevin as well. They do a marvelous job. Wouldn't you say, Dr. Bill?
Yes. And in fact, the things that we're just discussing, I think they're very attentive. They're very astute, and they practice what they preach, because all these steps could take. Proper coaching is essential in recognizing all the different ways that we can prevent injuries. And I agree with you. I mean, we're fortunate to have quality coaches, and I think it's very important, as Dr. Joseph stated, that at every level of play, particularly as the kids get older, contact sports, it's even more essential.
Good stuff. Doc, we're out of time. Appreciate your help. And again, the Hadesman Orthopedics in Elmhurst is where Dr. Bill Hadesman hangs his hat, and we've enjoyed the conversation.
Dr. Bill, thanks for getting up with us this morning on a Saturday.
Appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate being with you guys. I really do. Thanks a lot.
All right, we'll see you at Nationals next weekend, Doc, for our sons continuing on with their hockey careers. Let's take a break. Coming up next, our staple of the show, Ask the Doctor. You're listening to Sports Medicine Weekly, only on 670 The Score.